Well, for more, let's cross to our North America correspondent, Craig McMurtry, who is in Florida. And Craig, of course, it was in Florida 43 years ago where Neil Armstrong and his crewmates began their epic journey to the moon.
Yes, good morning, Andrew. It's a really sad day here. In a sense, it's more bad news for Florida's space community. Neil Armstrong, probably the most famous of American heroes. Barack Obama has issued a statement, the White House putting it out. Barack Obama says Neil was among the greatest of American heroes, not just of his time, but of all time. The tributes are flowing in. Leon Panetta, the US Defense Secretary, paying tribute, and also Buzz Aldrin, his crew member on that fateful Apollo 11 mission all those years ago, who was saying the space community has lost a leader, that he was a great spokesman, that he's very saddened. I'm sure there'll be many, many more tributes as well. Neil Armstrong was, as you reported a short while ago, something of a reclusive figure, a reluctant hero in the sense that he actually felt that the achievement of landing the lunar module on the moon was more noteworthy, was more exciting than him actually being the first person on the moon. He was never really comfortable with that. He would be an occasional visitor to Washington, to various public gatherings, NASA commemorations. He was recently in Washington at Congress along with John Glenn at another NASA commemoration and celebration. But he always was very reluctant, very difficult to get for an interview. He once famously said that he saw himself as a, quote, white socks pocket protector, nerdy engineer. He was from Ohio, a hero of the Midwest, and he never really appreciated or related to modern celebrity culture.
Craig, it's hard to overstate the effect his mission there, along with his two crewmates, Michael Collins and Buzz Aldrin, just the effect that it had on the space program, but of course also American society.
Absolutely. I mean, when Americans talk about the pinnacle of their achievement, the whole idea of innovation, of looking forward, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, that mission is always one of the first things they talk about. The other thing perhaps that we forget, I was a very small child back then, remember watching the images on grainy television, black and white images, trying to make out what they were. The other thing we forget all these years on is just how dangerous it was. Neil Armstrong had been in a 1966 Gemini 8 mission. This was in fact the first time that two vehicles, if you like, were supposed to dock above the Earth. Something went wrong. It was the first time NASA had to really operate its emergency re-entry procedures. So that was a very dangerous situation, and certainly the Apollo 11 mission itself to the moon was full of risk. The astronauts have spoken quite a bit afterwards of just the odds they thought of the mission succeeding, something of the order of 50%. So we forget perhaps in this day and age just the risk these men took with their lives when they were participating in this program. One other thing too, it's important to remember that Neil Armstrong hardly ever got political, but he did join with James Lovell and other NASA luminaries to criticise the current president and the decision in particular to retire the space shuttles, saying that it would leave America looking embarrassed with no means of getting American astronauts to the International Space Station anymore. And that was certainly a very rare departure for Neil Armstrong, who otherwise hardly ever got involved in the daily cut and thrust of politics or indeed the news.
Yeah, Craig, I should point out, you mentioned the risk involved in that particular landing. It is now understood that, and Neil Armstrong said in subsequent interviews, that he only had 20 seconds of fuel left before he actually landed that craft on the lunar surface. They only just made it. And also, of course, we think of the technology involved. They had something like 1/1000th of the computer power that the average computer notebook has these days.
Absolutely. It was a very risky enterprise, a very brave enterprise, and the choice of Neil Armstrong to be the first down the ladder, the first onto the moon's surface, that was very, very deliberate. Buzz Aldrin, always the more gregarious character, but NASA officials at the time and since have said they had no doubt that Neil Armstrong was absolutely the right person to be first, because he was so shy, so matter-of-fact. He wasn't really a romantic figure. He didn't see the moon landing in romantic terms and always struggled with being a national figure, a person in the spotlight, held up as so much of a hero, because for him it was a far more pragmatic enterprise. He was a pilot, he saw the challenge of landing it, but he never really accepted his role, if you like, as some sort of romantic figure in a grand exploration tradition.
Craig McMurtry in Florida, thanks very much.